Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In our today's video, we'll be creating this health insurance claim dashboard. This dashboard makes use of two filters, which is the claim status filter and the claim amount range filter, where you can select a specific claim status, either approved, rejected, or pending, or a specific claim amount. All right, and you can interact with this on the dashboard. We're also going to be creating some KPIs this time around: the total claims, approved claims, and the average claim cost. I'll be creating some charts as well: the claim submitted versus approved, claim type, distribution, and also a table that shows us the first 10 rows of our data frame. So if you want to learn how I was able to create this using Python and Streamlit, I would encourage you to watch this video to the end. And if you find this video helpful or insightful, then make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. So with that being said, let's dive right in. So this is the data set we are using, the health insurance claim data set, and it contains claim ID, the patient's age group, gender, insurance plan, the claim type, hospital region, the claim amount, and the approved claim. All right, so this is the data set we'll be using. Now that we've seen our data set, what we want to do now is to create our Python file. Alright, so to create your Python file, you have to come to this first icon that says new file. So let's click on this and it's going to open this, and we can call this our claims.py. So you can give this any name, but the most important thing is you ensure that it ends with .py. This is the extension. Okay, this is what makes it a Python file. So if you take a look at this file beneath, you can see .csv. This is what makes it a command separated value file, right? So the .py makes it a Python file. So we can click on OK, and now we've had our Python file created. Once you've created your Python file, this is where we are going to be writing all our Python code and running our codes, right? So the first thing we want to do is to import those libraries which we'll be needing to run our Python file. So we need NumPy, we'll need matplotlib, and we're going to be needing Streamlit. So these are the three important libraries we are using. So I'll go ahead and just paste that here. So we've imported Streamlit as st, pandas as pd, and matplotlib.pyplot as plt. All right, so once we've done that, the next thing we want to do now is to read in our file. Okay, we know we already have our CSV file here, right? But we want to be able to access it using our Python code, right? So to do that in Python, you have the pandas.read_csv, which is pd.read_csv, and you have to pass in the 5 parts inside that. So we can call this our df. This is going to be our data frame, and we can say pd.read. So this is the option, and we can pass this here. All right, so now inside this bracket we are going to be passing in the 5 parts. So you can see it says 5 parts or buffer, right? So we're passing in our 5 parts. To get the 5 parts, it's very easy. You can go to your files. This is the folder which we've opened, health insurance claims. So if I take this back, you can see we are under the health insurance claims folder. All right, and under this health insurance claims folder, if I click on this, you see we have our Python file which we've created, and we have the CSV file. All right, so we are trying to access this CSV file. So we can click on this, go to properties, and we can now go ahead and copy the location of this file. So we can copy the location. Let's go back to our VS Code and paste this. And this is not all, we also need the name and the extension of this file. So a backward slash, let's go back, and now what we need is the name. So this is the name of the file, right? So this is the name, and we also need the extension .csv. So we can go back, we'll be adding this, and we just add the .csv. All right, so once we are done with that, we can go ahead. In front of this, we can add this arrow so that we'll be able to read this file. So just by writing this one line of code, we've been able to read in our CSV file into our Python script. So once we are able to load our data, read in our CSV file into the Python script, the next thing we want to do is let's go back to our data set. So we have the claim IDs, the patient age group, we have the insurance plan, the claim type, hospital region, claim amount, approved amount. We also have this date, the claim date. All right, so we want to ensure that this claim date is saved as a date data type. In Python we have different data type. We have strings, integers. Strings are for text. We have integers, we have floating values, we have date values, list, and so forth. So we want to ensure that our claim date is a date data type and not a string or any other data type. So to ensure that this is saved as a date data type, we can go back to our Python file. Let's go to the next line of code. All right, so I will just go ahead and drop this here. So technically what I'm doing, I'm using the pd to underscore datetime. So this is the pandas to underscore datetime function. So the to underscore datetime function in pandas helps us to ensure that a column is a date data type. All right, so it helps us to convert a column to a date data type, and it must already be in a date data type format. So if you take a look at this CSV file once more, you see this is a data format, right? Year, month, and day, right? So it just helps us to ensure that this is a date data type, and we are saving this back as our claim data. So you could see we did not necessarily change or restructure the data or do anything. We just load in our data set and ensured our date data is a date data type. Now the next thing we want to do now is to start preparing our dashboard. We want to build the structure for our dashboard, which is going to be the dashboard title. Remember, all dashboards should have a title. So once a user is making use of your dashboard and it reads the title, the user should be able to know this is what this dashboard is trying to and these are the insights this dashboard is trying to give to me. All right, so we are going to be giving this dashboard a title. We are going to be creating a slider area where we'll be putting in our filters. So those are just the two basic things we are going to be doing. So to do that, we'll be using the streamlit to do that, streamlit.title. So we'll be using streamlit.title. So we'll be calling this dashboard our health insurance claim overview dashboard. All right, and we'll also be adding a short note using the streamlit.write to say this dashboard provides an overview of insurance claims, approval rates, claim types, and average claim cost. All right, so it's just giving us a brief information on what the dashboard is going to be doing. So once we are done with that, we can now start working on the slider aspect of the dashboard. Remember I said the two basic things we are going to be doing, a title and a slider. So we are done with the title. Now we're going to be looking at how we can create the slider that will be holding our filters. So to create the sidebar is also very easy as well. So you can just type in the st. Remember st is for streamlit, right? st.sidebar.header, and we'll be putting in these words filter. So with this we've been able to create our sidebar. The sidebar is just like something like this. This is a sidebar that contains our Python file and our CSV file, but in our case, since it's a dashboard, it's going to be containing our filters. So once we've created our sidebar, now we want to create our filters. All right, so we'll be using two filters for this dashboard. So the first filter is going to be the approval status filter, if a insurance claim was approved or not, and the second filter is going to be our cost range filter, what range of values. So for example, if it is in naira or dollar, we can say we are looking for insurance claim that the range was between 20,000 to 30,000 naira or dollar, or between 40,000 to 50,000 naira. So those are the two filters. We want to be able to filter our dashboard with if a claim was approved or not, and secondly the cost of that claim. Now the next thing we want to do is to create this approval status filter. Okay, so with this filter we're able to click if a claim was approved or not. All right, so to do that, we'll be using the streamlit.sidebar.select boss, and we'll be passing in two options. We want to be able to, see all options. Our default option will be all, where we can see for both claims that we approve and those that were not approved. And the next option will be to get the unique option. So for example, if we go to our CSV file and we check under approve, we see approved, we see rejected, we see pending. So there are different categories of a claim status, right? So to get those unique claim status, the different claim status, we would have to call on the dot unique method, and we pass in the dot to list as well, so that we can get a list returned of those unique claim status. And with that, we'll be able to create our approved status filter. So with that, the next filter we're going to create is going to be the cost range slider filter, where we can specify the claim amount cost we want to look at. Okay, so to do that, the first thing we want to do is to get the minimum cost and the maximum cost. And to get the minimum and maximum cost is very easy. We just have to go to our claim amount column. So we just have to select the claim amount column, and once we've gotten that column, now we can now go ahead and pick the minimum value using the dot main function and pick the maximum value using the dot max function. So with that, we can get our minimum cost and maximum cost. So we want the range of values not to be beneath the minimum value or exceed the maximum value. Okay, so once we've gotten the minimum and maximum value, so we can now use that to create our cost range slider. So we'll be calling on the st.sidebar.slider, and we will now pass in our minimum value, our maximum value, and within this we can pass in the list of values, which is just going to be from the minimum to the maximum cost of value. So remember, like I always said, once you've created your filter, now we've created the sidebars, we have to create our data set. We have to filter our data set to be able to make use of these filters that we've created. It's just like in Tableau. Once you create the parameter, you have to create calculated fields to make use of those parameters, right? So to be able to make use of these filters we've created, we have to filter our data set using these techniques. So to get our filter DF, first of all, we created two filters option, which is the cost range filter and the status filter. So to get the cost range filter, we want to return rows of data that meet our minimum or maximum value, or the specific value of the individual using this filter is going to select on. Okay, so to do this, we are using a subset method. So we are going to be returning rows of data that is greater than or equals to the minimum value selected and is lesser than or equals to the maximum value selected. So you remember in Python, index of 0 is going to return the first value in your list, right? So 0 here is going to return our minimum value, while the next value, which is 1, and index of 1 is going to return the maximum value. So once we've gotten those filtered data set, we can now go ahead and use our filtered df to return only rows of data based on the status filters. So once we've returned our filtered df, we also want it to return just those rows of data where a specific claim status is being met. So for example, we can say we want rows of data where the claim amount is between 3,000 to 5,000, and we also want the claim status to be rejected. Okay, so now let's go ahead and save this. We'll do Ctrl S and we'll just take a look at what our dashboard looks like. So let's run a new terminal. And let's say streamlit run claims.py. Okay, so let's run this and see what happens. So now you see a window has been opened on our browser, and our own browser, and you can see what we've created so far. So this is our dashboard title, and this is the filter section, right? So these are our filters we've created. We have approved, rejected, and pending as the various claim status, and we can pick a specific amount range, and using the slider. Okay, so this is just what we have on our dashboard now. So let's go ahead and start creating charts on this dashboard. So the first chart we are going to be creating is our KPIs. So we want to be looking at some specific KPIs, which is going to be the total claims, the approved claims, and the average claim cost. Okay, so these are key metrics that any healthcare or any health insurance company we want to see on their dashboard, right? So to get these key metrics, what are we going to do? First of all, to get the total claims, we just have to look at the length of our filtered DF. Remember now that we are not just using the DF, but we're not using our data frame, but we are using the filtered data frame. All right, so this is the data frame we are referring to now. So we want to get the length. The length is going to return the number of rows in our data frame. LEN, which is length, is going to return the number of rows in our data frame. So with that, we can get the total, the count of the number of people who put up for a claim. Now, to get our approved claim is as easy as well. All we have to do now is to ensure that our claim status is equals to approved, and we can now get the length of those rows of data where the claim status is equals to approved. And also, to get the average claim cost, we just have to using Python is very easy and straightforward. All we have to do is to return the claim amount column. This column contains all the claim amounts, and we just have to call on the .main function to get the average, right? So to make this more rounded, we can call on the .rounded method and pass it to the decimal of 2 so that we can get a rounded figure. So with this, we'll be able to create, or with this, we'll be able to get our 3 KPIs, which are total claims, approved claim, and the average claim cost. Now, what we want to do now is to pass these values which we have gotten into 3 columns, right? We want to be able to create 3 KPIs on top of our dashboard. So we'll be using the streamlit.column, and we'll specify that we need 3 columns. All right, so column 1, column 2, and column 3. Column 1 is going to be containing our first metric, which is total claims. Column 2 is going to be containing our second metric, which is approved claims, and column 3 is going to be containing our third metric, which is the average claim cost. So let's go ahead and save this. Ctrl S to save. Now we don't need to type in streamlit run claim.py. We just have to go to our browser, and let's go ahead and refresh this and see if our dashboard has been updated. So you see, look at our dashboard now. You can see it has been updated. We have the total claims, the approved claims, and the average claim cost. These are the 3 KPIs that have now been added to our dashboard. So let's continue building our dashboard. Now, the next chart we want to look at is the claim submitted versus approved. How many claims were submitted, and what is the amount of claims that were approved? Now, to get this chart, what we have to do is to, first of all, we want to get the value count of the claim status. Calling on the .value counts method on claim status is going to count the amount of claim for the various claim status. So for example, for rejected, it's going to say, okay, we have 30 rejected claims, we have 72 approved, we have 15 denied, just like that. So that's what the .value counts method does for us. All right, so now once we've gotten this, now we can now create a bar chart using this information. So we'll be calling on the plt.subplot method. So if you watch any of my previous video, you'll see that once we are using matplotlib, we always use the plt.subplot method to create our chart. And when you are using the .subplot method, you have to create a fig and an axis, right? So the axis is where we are going to be passing in all our information, and we have to call on the fig to show our chart. So axis.bar, since we want to create bar, we're passing in our status count. All right, so we'll be passing in this information which we've gotten from our dot values count, and with this we'll be creating a bar chart that shows us how many claims that were submitted and how many claims were approved. All right, so if we go ahead and save this once more, Control X to save, and let's go back to our dashboard and rerun this dashboard, and let's see if our chart was able to, we're able to create the right chart. So if I scroll down, you can see for claims submitted was approved, we now have, this was the total amount of claims that were approved, these are the total amount of claims that are pending, and these are the total amount of claims that are rejected. So you could see that we have more approved claims than pending or rejected. So another important information that stakeholders love to see on an insurance dashboard, an health insurance dashboard, is the reason for the claim. What was the reason this claim was submitted for? So for example, if we go to our CSV file, you will see we have the various claim type, right? We have emergency, inpatient, outpatient, pharmacy, and so forth. So we have various reasons these claims were submitted for. All right, so now we want to see how many was emergency, how many claims were for inpatient, and so forth. So to do that, we have to get that information from our claim type, and using the dot value count method, just like we did earlier, like I explained earlier, is going to return an information that tells us how many claims were submitted for emergency, how many claims were submitted for inpatient, how many were submitted for outpatient, and so forth. So once we've gotten that information and we've saved that as our claim underscore type.count, we can now use that to create a pie chart. All right, so we want to create a pie chart this time around so that we can see the percentage each of this claim type is covering, right? So we'll be using the plt.subplot method still, but this time around we'll be calling the dot pie. So since we want to create a pie chart, we'll be using the dot pie on our axis, and all we have to do is to pass in the values. So calling on the dot values on our claim types count is going to return all the numerical values. That is, so for example, if we have emergency 72, it's going to return all the numbers for each of the claim types, and calling on the dot index on the claim type count is going to return all the labels, which are the names. So for example, emergency, outpatient, inpatient, and so forth. So we can also add the auto PCT to format our pie chart and specify that the start angle to be 90 degree. So with this, we can call on the st.pie plot and pass in our fig2. And if we go ahead and save this, Control S once more, and let's go back to our dashboard and go ahead and refresh this, and let's look at our pie charts that we have created. So this is the pie chart, and now you can see that among the claim distribution, pharmacy claims was about 22.1%, emergency were 23.4%, inpatient was 26.3%, and outpatient was 28.1%. And you will see also that our filter works for each of these of our charts. So for example, if I want to look at claim amount from, let's say, from this amount 163,000 to this, you could see that our chart has changed. All right, so we now have pharmacy at 22.0%, emergency at 22.6%, inpatient at 27.6%, outpatient at 27.8%. So if I you can see changes took place on our chart, and it's also going to affect our claims submitted versus approved chart as well. So now the last thing we want to do on this dashboard is to add a data preview where we can get, let's specify, we want to get the first 10 rows of our data. Okay, so we'll be using the .add method to get the first 10 rows of our filtered DF. All right, so that's the last thing we are going to be doing on this dashboard. So if we Control S to save these, and let's go back to our dashboard, and if we refresh this, we would see that a table has been added that shows us the first 10 rows of our filtered data frame. Okay, so this is it. We have the claim ID, the patient age group, gender, and so forth. All right, so we can specify that we want to look at a specific claim type which is rejected, and it returns claim status for just that. We can also specify we want to see claim amounts between this and this, and also it works just as well. All right, so this brings us to the end of this video. This was I was able to create this health insurance claim overview dashboard. You can see it is short and straightforward and very beginner friendly. All right, so if you are trying to transition into becoming an healthcare data analyst and you want to create projects relating to healthcare data analysis using Python programming language, I would encourage you. This is a very suitable project that you can add to your project portfolio folder. All right, so you can go ahead, recreate this. I'll be dropping the link to the data set on the video description section, so you can go ahead, download the data set, recreate this. You can even modify it and add more information to your dashboard. All right, so ensure to give this video a thumbs up and also subscribe to this YouTube channel if this is your first time you are coming across this YouTube channel. All right, with that being said, bye for now and see you in my next video.